Tom Swinford with the Newport Marathon, and my guest today is Lance Nunn of the Oregon Coast Bank, the title sponsor of the marathon. And I'm pretty excited to talk to Lance. I haven't actually met him this year, but I just found out that he has run a marathon, and I kind of want to hear just a little bit about that.
Sure, you're gonna laugh when you hear the details. So I was afraid to join an organized marathon because I was going to be embarrassed if I fell behind. So I just trained up and I did it. I trained in 3 weeks, which is not recommended. And I just had my wife drive me 26 miles away from home, and I got out of the car and I ran home. So it was pouring down rain, and I was on a highway with no shoulder. So every time a car came by, I'd get sprayed with water, and I had to run down into the ditch and back up onto the road. And so I think not the best first choice for a marathon, and I think it was harder than it would have been if I'd done an organized one.
Yeah, it certainly would have been.
I called it the Nunn Fun Run.
Yeah, I've done those myself, but they were training runs, and they weren't. I wasn't thinking them as a marathon, but really in a mileage buildup. And I did the same thing one time. I went down to Walport and ran home. And from my house, I live on the north side of Table Mountain, I ran into Newport along the Bay Road, and that was like 28 miles or something. But I wanted to feel that little extra distance. It was part of my training plan this year. Yeah, so have you thought about running the Newport Marathon?
I just have started thinking about it. I got back into running maybe 2 or 3 months ago, and I'm up to 5 miles, but 26 was pretty rough. The first 15 went smooth, and then I kind of fell apart. But I did run the whole thing. That was my goal, is to keep the running going, no matter how slow it was. And I can't think of a better place to run than along the Bay Road and looking at that beautiful scenery. So I should run it next year.
Yeah. And it's really awesome that your bank has been supporting us for so long. I mean, back in 1999 when the marathon started, it was just a lot where the bank is now that was our finish line across from the Embarcadero, and the Embarcadero came over and set up food things, and it was just a real casual finish area. But now, the bank has come on. They put on, they've got the nice parking lot, and we're able to set up our staging area for the finish line. Then we go across the road to the Yacht Club for the finish area where the band and the food is. And it's just really awesome that you've been able to support us for all these years.
I tried to look up before we came how long we've been supporting, and I couldn't get an exact start year, but I can say it's been over 15 years that we've been, I think, the title sponsor that whole time. And we're really proud to support the community. It's a great community event, and that's what we're all about as a bank headquartered here in Newport, is supporting our communities on the coast and helping people to realize opportunities, normally dealing with banking, but in their lives where they can grow and accomplish goals. And I think a marathon can be a big part of that personal growth. So, and we also love supporting the boosters, and their support of our student athletes is amazing.
You guys do such a fine job with that, supporting the Newport Boosters. I don't know how many people know this, but the Newport Marathon is a big fundraiser for the Newport Boosters, and we support all sorts of activities and athletics and building fields, and they want to do some beautification up at the high school, and they've asked the Boosters if we could help with that, and the Boosters are pretty happy to support things that involve the kids.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And we try to be involved in a lot of their fundraisers over the year, with not just with money, and in this case with our parking lot, but to support it with volunteers and help promote it and get other people involved as well.
Mm-hmm. So is Joe Postlethwaite still involved with the bank?
So his family is still involved.
Okay.
And he's still a member of the community here. And I know he ran in the marathon when he was a
did.
bank employee back several years ago.
Yeah.
We had another employee also that was able to run the marathon.
Yeah. And William Postlethwaite actually ran the half marathon last year.
Oh, really?
He was a member of our track team, and he ran it. He just kind of like you in a way said, "Oh, I want to do it." But the thing that William had going for him is he had been training in track all year, and so he was ready to go.
Yeah.
So that was cool. I mean, to have that also the family support with the bank. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, the bank is started by and still owned by 100 local families, and most of them have been with us as investors the entire time, and the vast majority live right here on the coast. So we really care about this community and continuing to support things like this.
So what are some of the things that you've heard about this when you came on at the bank? Was there any talk about, oh, well, we've got the Newport Marathon that's going to be happening? Did people talk about that at all?
It was a foregone conclusion, right?
Yes, of course.
It wasn't even a question. So most times when there's a charitable donation or something, it comes to my desk for signature.
Right.
Should we do this? Should we not?
Right.
I've never once approved this. I would. Don't get me wrong. I would, but I think it's just so ingrained in who we are to support this marathon that there's an expectation that we will and will continue to do so, and I'm proud and honored to.
Yeah. So did they give you any idea of the amount of people that come to the town that come just to participate in the marathon? And
I don't know that. Do you know that?
Well, yeah. So we'll be probably around 1,000 runners this year, and we did a survey. Oh, it's been probably 10 or 15 years now, but we did a survey for a grant that we wrote to the city to get some banners put up on the light poles. And we figured there's about 2.5 people per runner
Okay.
that came to town.
I was going to say, if there's 1,000 runners, how many spectators and support?
So the support was that big. And in fact, we had one family that wanted to bring their family. And so they decided to run the Newport Marathon, run the marathon course, but do it in July where they could do their family reunion here in Newport. And they were from the Midwest somewhere. And there was like 26 or 7 of them that were meeting, and they were all going to go run and do that sort of thing.
So is the whole marathon along the Bay Road?
No.
Because I know a big part of it is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It starts up by the bridge up at Yaquina Bay Park where the old lighthouse is. And then it goes down into Nye Beach and does the little turnaround there in Nye Beach, and then back up along the Elizabeth Street where you can see the ocean and all that. Go under the bridge, past the Coast Guard station, and then down on the bayfront, get up on the boardwalk and all the boats, and then you hit the road out of town.
Yeah, so they get a lot of the highlights of Newport.
Oh, totally.
On the way.
Yeah,
That's great.
No, they really get to see that. A lot of history there. And then, I think running along the Bay Road is so awesome, seeing the, the herons and whatever, they may be flying around and people cheering here and there.
Where they can find a place to park.
Yeah. But no, to me, it's one of the most beautiful places to run a marathon around. I mean, I've run 14, and none of them have been as pretty as this one. Yeah.
Is it considered with elevation change, is it an easy is it a fast marathon, a slow marathon?
Well, at one time, according to Runner's World, we were in the top 10 of the fastest marathons. And that was really based on Boston qualifiers, because the percentage of people that qualified for Boston at our marathon was in the top 10 of all the marathons. And so, yeah, it was. It's fairly fast. It's fairly flat. Actually, there's a negative drop of about 300 feet, which if we wanted to go through all the paperwork, we could qualify for an Olympic trials qualifying run.
Oh.
But there's another set of papers, and we just haven't done that before. We have had people that have run the Olympic trials run our marathon. In fact, Sean Sunwall from Seattle, I think, ran a 2:22 marathon.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, that was pretty cool. So yeah, it's pretty flat, it's pretty fast, and it's beautiful. Perfect time of year. Usually the weather is really good, and knock on wood, it won't get too ridiculous. Very very little rain, very little heat. I mean, we've had both of those, but this is the 26th year of this marathon.
Yeah. As someone who dabbles in running, I would way rather run in the rain than the heat. So
Yeah, I know.
I don't mind the rain, but when it's hot, it's hard to keep your
Is.
pace up for me.
Yeah, my track kids are the same way. I mean, they'd rather run in the rain. It gets 70 degrees here, and they're, oh, coach, it's just too hot,
Then they have to go compete in the valley where it's.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know. It could kill them. It does. Yeah, so it's pretty pleasant. And the wind, on a nice day, the winds don't even come up until about 11 o'clock, and most people are finishing up then. And the ones that are still out on the course probably aren't trying for a Boston qualifier.
Right.
Yeah.
So have you qualified for Boston?
Oh, yeah.
Have you run in Boston?
I have.
Wow.
Yeah, I've qualified out of my 14 marathons. I qualified for 12.
Wow.
12 of them, but I've only ran it twice. Yeah. In fact, I haven't run a marathon. My last marathon was in 2004, and I didn't qualify for Boston that year. And I had put on a little weight, and I said, I'm not going to run another marathon until I drop some weight. So that was 2004. So that's been the bigger challenge than getting in shape to run a Boston qualifier.
Well, yeah, that's a different kind of challenge.
Yeah, totally different. Yeah, and my time has been really taken up too, with the coaching and all that kind of stuff. And being the race director of the marathon, so it takes up a lot. It's pretty cool that the Newport Boosters are really team oriented. I think we're a pretty good example of the stuff that we support. We support our sports teams, and it's fun to have that sort of environment for the kids of our community, is where they can be a part of a team and learn to be part of a team. And the Newport Boosters really work a lot like the team. When I took over the marathon as race director in 2007, I said, well, if I do this, we are going to have to step up as a group and do it. And they did. And so people took on various things, took on directing the volunteers, and took on keeping the organization and doing all kinds of gathering of stuff that we needed for the finish line, and doing the porta potties and aid stations and managing all that. So we have quite a group of people that really are part of the marathon team that put this event on.
Yeah, from what I can see looking in from the outside, it seems like a well-oiled machine with a lot of people putting their shoulder to the wheel and getting the job done seamlessly.
Yeah, there's nobody that's paid to do this. We're all volunteers. Yeah, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
To think about doing it for 26 years with a volunteer base like that. Yeah.
Yeah. It says a lot about the people who live here and who support our kids.
Sure does. Yep.
So Oregon Coast Bank came into existence just a few years after the marathon in 2002, starting, like I said, right here in Newport. And then we've added branches up and down the coast. Our second branch was in Pacific City, of all places, due to a great community fit there. And then Lincoln City, and try to make sure I'm getting the order right. Then Walport, and then Toledo, and then Tillamook. Last month, we were able to open our seventh branch in Coos Bay, Oregon.
Oh, wow.
So we're excited to expand the footprint a little bit and be involved in the coastal community there, which has a vibrant fishing industry and marine industry. And that's where we really shine, is supporting the unique coastal needs that sometimes the big box banks don't know how to support.
Yeah.
And with the service of your neighbors and your friends and the people you see in your community. And so we continue to grow. We continue to look for new opportunities along the coast. But these types of partnerships with the marathon is really what it's all about, and what sets us apart from our competition is really partnering and being in the community for what the community needs.
Yeah, we're certainly happy that you're part of our operation. It really means a lot to us, and you've done so much over the years. I can imagine the other communities will be saying, well, can you partner with us here too?
And we can, and we do.
Yeah.
It's exciting. Every branch team is so engaged with their communities, and they invite me to events up and down the coast, and it's so, inspiring is maybe a little, it sounds like cliche, but it is inspiring to see people working together, ignoring political differences or economic differences, and just doing what's right for their community and being right there with them. It feels good.
And it's interesting. I've been part of various running events that have ended in some of those communities, like the Roseburg to Coos Bay relay in Coos Bay, and the Hood to Coast originally ended in Pacific City, and I ran that way back when.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and Lincoln City was the ending of the Reach the Beach bicycle ride. I don't know if it still is, but it was at one time. And, those communities all have kind of supported those kind of activities, outdoor activities.
Yeah, I know. We're a big supporter of I think it's called the Gravel Epic and
it is.
every
Yeah.
year.
Yeah. Well, Lance, I really want to thank you for coming in and being part of this
thanks for having me.
podcast. Yeah. And we look forward to seeing you maybe on June 1st, the running of the marathon, and maybe not, but I know that your team will be there and helping out and whatnot. So I really appreciate you taking the time to come in today.
Absolutely. Thank you again.